Good morning. It's Bob Purdon again, and talking about and sharing the information that I have developed over years of experience in being out there in the field, standing and sitting in dealerships for a week at a time, and just gathering a lot of information in observation and in training of the salespeople and managers, and also shopping dealerships all over the country, hundreds of them, and gathering this information that really developed into a opinion of having the sales profession be very effective in its simplicity. It's the complications of the business that make it expensive for a lot of people and turn a lot of people off. I've talked about the fact that selecting of a vehicle is the key issue, and that really is the factor that is going to determine whether a customer is a potential buyer or not. Because if they don't find something they like, they can't and won't buy, obviously. So with that in mind, I've been outlining in certain steps a process that we were using that was not maybe, I hope it works. It did work, and the proof is we were number one for 25 years in the world with Lexus, my being involved half that time, and a fellow who came out of the same school carrying it from the get-go to where I was. These features that I present of the process, the rationale I use, the mental rationale, all produced that factor, and were all a major part. Not all of it, but major. The process is the key. In 2015, we delivered 10,043 automobiles, retail, out of the dealership. So when I present things to you and features to you and processes to you, this is not a test. These things all work. It's a matter of putting it together in our own minds. We began with a greeting, of course, as far as process, recognizing that the customer's most important possession is their name. So when they come in, we would suggest that we introduce ourselves, hand them our business card, and write their name down, paying very close attention to the lady who ultimately could be the boss, and in fact is in most cases, although she's the quietest. Next, we would talk about them giving us non-buy statements to protect themselves, just looking, not buying today, saying things like that we don't want to address. So what we want to do is bypass those statements by saying, I understand, it all begins somewhere, and move into the selection process. Once we do that, we begin pursuing what we're going to show them. We want to end up with a model presentation. And that's what I'd like to talk about briefly this morning. It's not the best presentation of the model, but that's what I can do this morning. And this is a new automobile. This could be outside on the lot. This could be in the showroom. It could be anywhere. So what would we do with the customers? Knowing where the models are, we would say, follow me. Not, I'd like to show you something. Why ask them? We're going to lead them. So we lead them over to the model. And instead of standing there with our hands in our pockets, we would ask them to stand in front of the vehicle. That's correct, in front of the vehicle. We would then open the door, driver's door, reach in and lift the hood. So this vehicle would be sitting there by me lifting the hood and explaining something to them. This vehicle is not a couch. As we look at it, it's sitting here, it's not going anywhere. So there's no danger in the fact that it's sitting here. But once this vehicle moves, then in the sense of moving, danger does mount. And One thing Lexus, in this particular case, Toyota, they want to make sure that the customer gets home at night. So what we would do, we'd be standing there in front of them with the vehicle, in front of the car with the vehicle, and we'd like to point out some features that people may or may not know. The first thing we would point out is that safety is one of the two major interests of a customer, safety and comfort. So we have them look at the front of the automobile and express to them that everything on the front of the car is designed to give. It's called a 5 mile per hour safety package. So any impact on the car within 5 miles per hour is designed to do what? Give. Not that it is not going to have some damage, but it will give and absorb the negative energy that the impact would have. Most of those pieces in the front of the vehicle are of a component that is not metal, and it's a component that is designed to give and move, flexible, if you will. There is a brace behind all of this that will help support that impact with a cushion factor, and that's where it gets the basic strength. We would then point out that the hood itself, when we lift the hood, there would be a mat underneath the hood at the top of the hood, and we would point out that that's a insulation factor. It also helps the safety factor in case there was a lot of heat. The clips holding that pad up under the hood are designed to melt and have that pad drop down and help nullify any heat factor. We would point out that the wall between the engine compartment and the passenger compartment is called a fire wall, if you will, and that's designed to basically protect the vehicle in case of any impact. Keeping the engine components away from the passenger components is actually what it's designed to do, but it's a frame. It also, like all frames, supports the vehicle, the strength of the vehicle. We would point out that the hood has little dimples on either side of it, and the fenders, on the inside of the fenders, there are dimples placed strategically along the inside of the fenders. Now, why is that? That's in case of a severe impact. The whole front of the vehicle, from the windshield forward, is designed to cushion a heavy impact, absorb that negative energy, keeping it out of the compartment if it is at all possible. And the hood is designed with two lockdown tabs at the very corners of it. It's designed to do what? It's designed to lock that part of the hood down, the back of the hood down, so it does not have a tendency to enter the passenger compartment in case of a impact. So the hood would actually, the fenders would look like an accordion, but the hood would fold up like a V to make sure that, again, all of that impact is absorbed by the front of the vehicle. Inside the wheels, there are fenders in there, and those fenders are called inner fender skirts. What they do is they cover the interior of the wheel compartment so that anytime we're going through water, dirt, debris, what have you, anything coming off the wheel is then designed to end up back on the curb, keeping the integrity of the structure of the vehicle clean and preventing any damage to water or whatever entering the engine compartment. So it protects the engine compartment at the same time. If we look at the wheels themselves, there are a lot of holes, openings there, and it looks like it's wide open, almost in some cases unfinished. But the reason that it's wide open is the fact that the enemy of braking is heat, and that is highly ventilated, so that when the air is passing around the wheel, it is maintaining its coolness. It's impossible to prevent from helping cool those brakes down, and that's why it's designed that way, a lot of openings. Looking at the top of the vehicle, the windshield glass is safety glass. It's 3-layered. One layer of glass with a laminated factor in between, and then the outer layer. And that's designed to keep the car acoustically sound, but it's also designed to make sure that in case of a severe impact, the windshield won't necessarily explode with all kinds of slivers and knives of glass, but rather cube up, which would be less damaging when the windshield, if it did go that far, to break up. The same with the side windows in the vehicle. Along the top of the vehicle, in many cases, is a groove that runs along the top. And that groove is designed to keep the water, as the water flows over the top under rain, to keep the water running over the car rather than down into the compartment if we open the window. So it's a channel is what it is. It's a water channel. The doors on each side have a impact layer of steel in the doors. So that's a safety shield also. In case of a side impact, there's additional strength there, keeping as much as possible the door together and protecting that passenger on the inside of the vehicle. I've talked to a lot of customers that actually are still around today because of that side impact, side guard beam they actually call it. The glass itself is designed to have a non-impact factor, so if the glass was going up, it would stop. It wouldn't continue going up in case it was an animal or a child or whatever, putting themselves in a position to follow that glass. So it helps protect that non-contact factor. It'll stop. The windshield will stop in case of that happening. There are 3 pillars. A on the front, B between the doors, and C at the back window. Those are pillars. These pillars are all reinforced at the top to give additional strength in case of the ultimate rollover factor or something ending up on top of the car that wasn't wanted. So that's another safety factor built in. Again, the rear of the car also has these fenders, inner fender skirts that I talked about, keeping the debris away from the vehicle. It also has a compact impact zone that will actually, again in the rear, absorb a lot of that negative energy as much as possible, keeping it out of the passengers and the passenger compartment. Another safety feature that is very important, believe it or not, is the spare tire that is in this particular model and many of the Toyota models. Now, the spare tire is put in horizontally, obviously, but you can imagine what that does in case of a rear impact, a rear end hit. It isn't just the spare tire anymore, but it's a safety feature. So it's another added dimension of safety that can make a difference. And looking at the back of these automobiles, which is hard to show you on this video, the tail lights are huge. The front lights are huge. In fact, the front lights wrap around the fender. So you can see the front headlights from the side as well as the front. The reason for that is anybody entering an intersection can always be basically seen by identifying the lights front and rear. So it's a big safety feature, making sure these lights are there, wrapped around the corner of the car, and are very big and very visible. Big deal. The front and back fenders are bumpers, if you will, are impact, like I mentioned, and the back one is also designed for a 5-mile-per-hour tap in the parking lot, what have you. The gas cap is now operated and open only from the inside of the vehicle, so it assists in a tamper-proof situation. Now, these are factors that are part of the structure of the automobile. Walking up as we did, we could look at the design of the car, the beauty of the car, the paint. All of those things can be seen. But what really can't be seen, and remember, the biggest number on a window as far as a pricing is the price of the automobile. And that's why this vehicle, like all others that may not be shown, have safety features that are very, very impressive. And it's just the ones that we might not have known about that could make the difference and have a lot of people getting out of that vehicle and going home at night because these safety features were built in. So it's not the beauty of the outside that counts only, it's the beauty of the safety features, and that's why I want to take a moment to point them out to you. Does that make sense to you folks? So what did I do? Whether it was professional or not, but what did I do? I took the customer and walked them over. That was planned. I planned to walk over to the model and have them stand in front of it. Not concentrate on the interior, I concentrated, as you notice, on the exterior. Because that's the last time they'll ever have a presentation opportunity for these features that could make a huge difference in their comfort zone when they drive this automobile. How many of these features that I pointed out did they not know about? Obviously, most of them, in my opinion. So what am I doing? I'm getting them more involved in appreciating the value of the car, which warms up their interest, we hope. I'm separating myself from the competition because who else showed the vehicle this way? I don't think anybody. And of course, I'm leading them down the road, and I say lead, not ask. I'm leading them down the road towards really getting more involved. Because the next thing I'm going to do is leave them for a moment and pull up the appropriate vehicle and leave it running. I'm going to leave the vehicle running, and I'm going to have the doors, passenger doors open so that I can invite them over to the vehicle. Why? Because I didn't start the vehicle because of its present location when we looked at it. So I wanted to have them sit inside of the vehicle, quote, to see the features that only can be shown and appreciated when the car is idling. So I presented the exterior of the vehicle first and then set the stage for an interior presentation, and then I'm going to present the vehicle from my being behind the steering wheel. I want to be behind the steering wheel. Why? Because the demo should be led by the pro who is going to control distance, direction, and performance. That's why if they get in and they have never driven one, they can't be comfortable. I want them to relax. And as I present the features of the interior, I'm starting to have them relax and identify how the vehicle will perform for them. So the presentation of walking them to the car, having them stand in front, present the external safety features is critical so they can add value to it. Then when that presentation is over, I pull a vehicle up running. I make sure that passenger doors are open, inviting them to the interior, letting them know the reason for this presentation, interior presentation, is because I wasn't running the car at first. It was not running. So there are two phases, the exterior and the interior. The demo ride that I'm going to develop and I'm going to lead them on, because I presented the interior from behind the steering wheel. Remember, I put them in the passenger side, I sat in the wheel. The reason I'm going to do that is because I want to get them inside the vehicle to do what? Relax. They don't even know it yet in a positive way, but they're all on they're on a demo ride already. They're on a static presentation. So once we sit in the car for a few moments and I point out some features like, folks, do you notice the top of the dashboard, how it has a dull finish? Why is that? So you won't have the glare as you're driving the vehicle. Notice how it's hooded? In fact, the manufacturer of these automobiles makes sure that everything that can be touched can be touched from what? The driver's perspective. So the one person they are thinking about as they put these features in the car, first of all, is the driver. Then I'll say, notice even the door handles. Notice how they're concave, they head in. They end up turning in. Why is that? In case of bouncing around, the safety feature is there. You notice the headliner is normally somehow softened in case of an impact. All of these things are designed to make sure, and the hood over the gauges, all these designed to make sure that you have the best of vision and that you can be as comfortable as possible in this vehicle. So as I'm talking about these basic functions that they've never even thought about, I'm letting them relax and smell the new vehicle. I want that to really get into their system. So as I am presenting the interior basic features, I'm starting to put the car in drive and take the ride. I want a planned demo route that I know where I'm going in case they want to drive in a country secondary road manner. And I also have an alternative, which is a interstate approach, if you will, if they want to ride on the highways. So the planned route is prepared. I know where I'm going to stop in both cases. I'm going to stop on a turnaround on an interstate, one of those rest areas, and maybe make the presentation there. Or I'm going to stop in a park if I'm on the countryside. Those are all prepared stops. And they want to be at least 20 minutes because the longer they're in the appropriate vehicle, the better off I'm going to be in the end. I drive first. When I hit that timeout spot that I've already prepared for, I then get out and have them both move to the front. Because my presentation of the features of the automobile internally are going to be from me sitting in back and reaching over and pointing the features out that they can touch. Because it's a touch situation, it's not me just talking about it. So by the time we're done, and I will talk about this as long as I can. Remember, I'm in a stop zone. I'm in a rest area. So we're isolated so that we can concentrate on these features. So by the time I'm done with that internal presentation from the back seat, we then do what? We then let them take us back. And the one thing I'd like to do is make sure that I can have the lady drive. I've got to be very careful here because she is watching both of him and me. Why? She is concentrating on her budget. She's concentrating on what she likes and doesn't like. And she has a tendency to lay back a little bit and say, oh, no, let him drive. And what I'm saying is, she's saying, you two boys do your thing, but I'm going to make the decision when we get back as to what we're going to do here. So I want to make sure that she is involved for her benefit as much as possible in having a drive and a ride in this demo. Very important that both drive. When we get back from the demo, we should feel that either it's the right one or it's not. And then, but we shouldn't, if it's the right one, we should be start to building the automobile now, talking about the color, talking about the features, how they're going to use it, who's going to drive it. All these things should be occurring. So we're really taking a natural direction towards the selection. The one thing I'm looking for, the goal of this interview, is for them to be standing beside one of these models that we started to look at and say, I like it. What's the best thing I can observe? him talking to her or her talking to him and having them say, what do you think? That's what I'm looking for. Now, I also want to point out there is no difference in the presentation whether they are a buyer or not. If he's here alone, the presentation is the one I just did. If she's here alone, it's the same presentation. The presentation doesn't change because I'm not going to sell most of the cars the first time in. I'm going to sell the most cars by combining the first time in with the B back that was at a high level because I impressed them so much the first time they were in. So there's no change in my approach. It's a routine of success, and we've got the numbers to prove it, believe it. So this is another phase in the process that separates us from everybody else. When people know that we care, when they know we're thorough, when they like the way we're leading them through this process without pressure, really, they start to warm up and take it and start to relax and really start to communicate with us. And that's the name of the game. Any questions? Please don't hesitate. Try to do these things. You'll find that they work very, very well. And believe it, why is it so important? Who's going to make me look good? If they go somewhere else, I'm going to look better because the other person won't do it before or after they come to us. Have a good day.